These people all think they're British.
I feel British and I am British. The UK is all I've ever known.
But in the eyes of the law, they're not.
I realised I wasn't British at the age of 18.
They're the children of migrants. They've grown up here and say they're being penalised through no fault of their own.
I felt like my dreams had been crushed, really.
Many are paying through the nose so they can stay in the country they already call home.
I just go into such a dark place because it's just so much money, it's so much effort.
And some are facing deportation to countries they barely know.
I was born here, I've lived here my entire life. I don't know anything else, to be honest with you. I'm just as British as you.
Panorama investigates the immigration rules that have left these young people feeling like second-class citizens.
Life chances are being squandered by the British state because the immigration rules are too inflexible.
Maharaj Ahmed is 18 and has lived in East London since he moved here from Bangladesh at the age of 5.
I'm the child of first-generation immigrants, and I want to study medicine and hopefully one day become a doctor and help people and give back to the community through medicine.
Hello, Maharaj. I'm Greg. So how are you all doing?
So we're all good.
All good.
Maharaj's family came to the UK when his dad was here studying nursing. He says his father's life would have been in danger if he had returned home.
There was a change in government in Bangladesh and my dad couldn't return, so he brought us over here with him.
He has a younger sister and brother.
And what about you?
I want to be a doctor.
Like your brother?
Maharaj says when his dad's visa expired, the family spent years trying to get a new one. Meanwhile, Maharaj worked hard and did well at school. 2 years ago, he won a full scholarship to Eton to do his A-levels.
You must be very proud of Maharaj. Yeah? And what's it like going to Eton?
Yeah, it's pretty good. At first, it was strange because it's completely different to a normal state school, but it's become normal now.
But he got a shock when he applied to study medicine at university.
When I was told that, because of legal reasons, you wouldn't be able to go on to university this year, and you might not be able to in the future as well. It really depends on your circumstances, and that to me was just devastating. I felt like my dreams had been crushed, really.
Despite being in the UK since he was a little boy, Maharaj is on a temporary visa. That means he's considered a foreign student, subject to huge international fees, £30,000 a year for medicine. And he's been told he can't get a student loan.
I've been in this country since age 5, and I've received a government-funded education from primary school all the way up to secondary school. And when I heard that, it was really upsetting for me.
Maharaj's case shows you how ridiculous the system is for all children facing this problem of not qualifying to be deemed as a home student. Life chances are being squandered by the British state because the immigration rules are too inflexible.
It's thought there are 180,000 children in the UK who aren't British citizens, but have lived here for more than 10 years. They were born here or brought here when they were children. They feel British and know no other country. The problem is their immigration status wasn't resolved when they were young, and now they say they're being made to feel like second-class citizens.
We thought it would be really good to have like an upskilling session so that
they can go through the applications.
Chrisanne Jarrett came from Jamaica aged 8 and only found out she wasn't a British citizen when she was 18. Now she campaigns for other young people who've grown up here but are facing problems because of their temporary immigration status.
These young people that are socially integrated, having been brought here from a young age, gone through the entire British education system and just want to live a fruitful life. And your immigration system affects the way in which you access services, going to university, opening a bank account, or even trying to rent a property.
As children, they went to school and could see a GP, so they often didn't realise there was a problem until they were older.
Written in my diary one time that if you cut me open, I will bleed the Union Jack. I first came to the UK when I was 2 years old with my mum. I came from Nigeria. I was born there.
Ijeoma Moore's now 26. She says her and her mum came to the UK on a valid visa, but when it ran out, her mum struggled to renew it. 11 years ago, when her mum was at work, there was a knock on the door.
4 immigration officers burst in and they basically tackled my dad to the ground. Had no idea what was going on.
Ijeoma was taken to a detention centre with her father and younger brother.
I had to try and stay calm just because of him. I didn't want to show him fear or show him that something was terribly wrong. I try not to talk about the detention stuff too much. I mean, it was very much like a prison.
Ijeoma's dad was sent back to Nigeria, but it was decided the children could stay, and they were eventually reunited with their mum. There are far fewer child detentions nowadays, but Ijeoma can't escape the memories.
For me, it was just genuinely so traumatizing. The whole process is very inhumane and just disgusting, really.
Now Ijeoma wants to be recognised as a British citizen. But first, she'll have to complete what's called the 10-year route. So here's how it works. On the 10-year route, you get a visa, which you have to renew and pay for every 2.5 years. After 10 years, you can apply for indefinite leave to remain, which gives you the right to stay here permanently. But it still isn't British citizenship. You can't ask for that for at least another year. It's a long, arduous and very costly journey. Ijeoma's now been on it for more than 5 years.
It's just too long. 10 years is a very long time.
But shouldn't it take a long time? Because after all, your parents didn't have the right papers for you.
It's not reasonable, you know. I've grown up here. I've done nursery, primary, secondary, sixth form. I'm now in uni. I don't plan on leaving.
Ijeoma couldn't afford to go to university straight away. On the 10-year route, you have to wait 3 years before you can qualify for normal home student tuition fees and a student loan.
Like, they don't want me in their country. It just makes me feel like I don't belong here at all.
The 10-year route is the slowest path towards British citizenship. It's for people who've already spent years in the UK and have ties here. There is a 5-year route, mainly for people who arrive with the right skills and income, or who've married British citizens.
These young people should have an accelerated route that is in line with other areas of the immigration system and be on a 5-year route like everyone else.
And why shouldn't it be 10 years? Why shouldn't it be that long?
People are put on the tenure route because of their strong ties. They're not going anywhere. If you accept that they have the right to be here, make it easier and feasible for them to maintain that status and be truly integrated.
If you've ever been here without a valid visa, the 10-year route could be your only option.
I think it's to put people off. There can be no other explanation. People are part of our society. Why are we creating systems that make it prohibitive before you can become British? Why are we doing this?
I've come to the Isle of Wight to find out more from a man who should know. Tony Smith used to lead the Home Office agency that carries out immigration controls. Do you have sympathy for the idea of people that say maybe they came over when they were 2, 3, 4, they're now 18, 19, 20?
Particularly if they've come at a young age, then, of course, then one must sympathise with the plight that suddenly they find themselves in a situation where maybe they can't stay here if they've been brought up here. But the difficulty we have with that is it could encourage others to continue to come. And that's the challenge, is constantly trying to find that balance so that we can demonstrate we've got a firm immigration control and that it's not okay to come here and stay here illegally.
Until a decade ago, it was much easier for young people who'd grown up here. They could often get the right to stay permanently in just 6 years. But in recent decades, UK governments of all parties have brought in a series of policies to toughen up the rules, creating a so-called hostile environment for illegal immigrants. And in 2012, the 10-year route was introduced. For young people who've been brought up here, this has made the journey to citizenship not just longer, but very expensive.
The UK is unusually expensive compared to other countries. There are countries that are also expensive, but the UK is certainly, on the very high end of that.
Every 2.5 years, applicants have to pay for a new visa, now around £1,000, and a fee to use the NHS, currently almost £1,600. That's before they've paid solicitor fees. These costs have been a real problem for sisters Taj Lee, who's 19, and Nastasia, who's 27. Along with their mum and older sister, they've done more than 7 years on the 10-year route. Between them, it's already cost around £12,000.
I think the entire process is just not something that an average working class family can realistically afford.
When Taj Lee was 1 and Nastasia was 9, they came from Jamaica with their mum. The family wanted to join the girls' grandparents, who were part of the Windrush generation.
We came on a visitor's visa because all of our family was in the UK.
But the family overstayed their visa, and when they applied for a new one in 2013, they were put on the 10-year route.
It's like I have to pay my way to be British. I came here when I was 9. What choice does a 9-year-old have?
Imagine coming from one source of income.
With 3 daughters and herself to pay for, the costs were crippling for their mum.
One time, I was about 14. There was no electric at one point, and my mum bought candles. There have been times where we were rationalizing essential things that we need in the house: water, bread, sanitary towels, things like this. And it just strips somebody of their dignity.
People on the 10-year route can work, but can't claim benefits unless they can prove they're really struggling. Their mum took 2 jobs to make ends meet.
She was working for the income that provided enough money to pay for those visa fees and a roof over my head at the same time.
During the pandemic, their mum couldn't work. She got a small amount in furlough payments, which had to last 8 months. In December, she was able to begin claiming benefits.
Now we're seeing the effects on her mental health, on her physicality. She can't help like she used to. I'm having to pick up that baton, which has been extremely hard on my shoulders.
Their mum was still facing a £5,000 visa renewal bill for herself and Taj Lee. Shouldn't it be expensive? Because otherwise everybody would apply.
There's expensive, and then there's exploitation, and this isn't expensive. This is exploitation.
Chris Ann Jarrett is also on the 10-year route.
Is the 10-year route fair?
Well, no, the 10-year route is not fair. It is punishing. It is relentless in terms of the financial demands of young people and families. A lot of young people are entering adulthood in their early 20s with an immense financial burden.
The Home Office says all fees are kept under review, and it offers several fee waivers and exceptions from the need to pay. But over the last decade, fees have increased sharply. The fee to use the NHS has tripled since it was introduced in 2015. And the visa application fee almost doubled between 2013 and 2018.
The impact is that you're always saving towards a goalpost that's always moving. It's irrational to expect young people and their families to pay this.
So why does it cost so much, and where's the money going?
When I first joined the Home Office, it was a free service, actually, to deal with applications to remain. But increasingly over the years, the Home Office has had to find a financial business model which isn't necessarily funded by the taxpayer. And that's really to cover the increasing costs of the administration of the system.
But the visa application fee you pay every 2.5 years has become much more than the cost of administration.
So we've got a list of fees that the Home Office currently charge. If you'd like to have a look.
This document published by the Home Office shows the fees charged for all their visas and sets them against the costs of processing claims.
Are you surprised?
Yeah, I mean,
It costs the Home Office £142 to process an application for their visa renewal.
the actual cost to the claimant is £1,000.
So I pay £1,033, and it costs the Home Office £142 just to process paperwork I've provided them. Can I get a refund?
I still feel shocked every time I see it.
To me, it looks like exploitation.
And when the 10 years is up, you have to make a further application for indefinite leave to remain, the right to stay permanently. It costs the Home Office £243 to process this claim.
Oh my God. They're charging. You ready? Yeah, okay. $2,389.
How can they sit there and allow that to happen? How can they sit there and feel okay with themselves? They don't want me here. That's how I feel.
And there's another wait if you want British citizenship, and another £1,300 payment.
This is actually ridiculous looking at it. I feel sick.
Thanks. The Home Office said taxpayers should not bear the burden of the costs of people coming or applying to settle here, and every penny is reinvested to run vital immigration services. The young people we've spoken to describe hardship and insecurity, but for some, the stakes are even higher.
I wasn't aware that I was in a situation. I didn't know I would be considered not British until this situation arose.
Hey, Sam, how you doing? You all right? You good? How's it going? This is the end?
Sam Try was born in South London 31 years ago and has lived on this estate most of his life. His mum is from Sierra Leone.
Show me where you grew up and kind of the places you used to hang out. Is this the school you went to?
Yeah, I started off in the nursery, and then reception, year 1, year 2, that's in this like part of the building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you were born here.
Mm-hmm.
So ultimately, you see yourself as British?
Of course. My experiences are British. I was born here, I've lived here my entire life. I don't know anything else, to be honest with you. I'm just as British as you.
Some of it's new, like over there. When Sam was a teenager, he started to get involved with gangs and selling drugs. As an adult, he was sent to prison twice for more than a year.
Banana Park's over there.
So you're 16, 17 on the estate.
Mm-hmm.
What sort of things were you doing? Were you holding drugs?
Initially, it started holding, ultimately snowballed into like, selling drugs for older lot, working for them. Abusing drugs as well at the time, because I was young.
Even being born in the UK doesn't automatically make you a British citizen. Sam and his mum both got indefinite leave to remain when he was 19, but his mum never applied for citizenship. By law, Sam's convictions make him a foreign criminal, so he should be deported to Sierra Leone, a country he barely knows. And what would you say, Sam, to people that might be watching and thinking, well, hang on a minute, you committed a number of offences, you went to prison, therefore you broke the rules and should be deported?
I would say that I didn't come from another country and start committing crime. Any crime that I've committed, I've taken accountability for, and I've been to prison and I've served my time. Do you know what I mean? I'm not asking for pity as such. I just want to compete on a level playing field.
If you're not a citizen and you're sentenced to more than a year in prison, the law says you must be deported. But should the same rules apply to someone who spent their whole life here?
It's particularly difficult when somebody was born in this country. It's wrong. He may not be defined legally as a British citizen, but for all intents and purposes, he is British, isn't he? He is our problem, and we ought to help him adjust into our society.
Sam lives with his mum, Melinda, who had a mini stroke a few years ago.
Mom, do you want this tea? In your mug?
I need Sam to be here with me now more than ever, because he's like my other arm. He's my right hand, as they say, the right hand. He is.
She bitterly regrets not applying for Sam to become a British citizen when he was a child. If she had, there would be no threat of deportation.
I made a mistake, and 20 years on, you know, I don't think it's fair. I made a mistake. I wish I could turn the clock back. What I know now, if I knew it then, would have been different. But then, there's nothing you can do about that.
Sam's exhausted his appeals against deportation and is now making a fresh application to stay. To confuse things more, Sierra Leone have told him he's not a citizen there either, and they can't give him a passport. In the meantime, Sam can't work, claim benefits or drive, and he's been asked to pay for NHS treatment.
So what have you been doing to get by?
A small set of friends and family have taken care of me.
Are you involved in crime at the moment?
Not at all. I don't aspire to get involved in any of that stuff anymore. I don't want the headache.
What does it feel like to be going through this?
Yeah, I think I've gone crazy a couple times. I think I've gone a bit loopy, I've gone, you know what I mean? You start shouting and being frustrated very easily. You start to just lose a lot of hope. You start to lose a lot of faith in yourself.
There are more than 10,000 people who've been told they'll be deported because of their crimes, but who are still living here.
Removals from the country now are at an all-time low. People are not going back, even after significant amounts of appeals and judicial reviews. And at the same time, new evidence can be introduced at the very, very last moment, because there's some other reason that has now come up, which suggests that that should be delayed. That really undermines the process.
The Home Office said it only returns people who don't need their protection and have no legal basis to remain. It said its new plan for immigration will stop the abuse of the system and speed up removals. The young people we've spoken to all believe they are the casualties of policies designed to crack down on illegal immigration. But the man who used to run the Immigration Control Agency says the current system is failing everyone.
It's not really working for anyone. For the applicants who are waiting for a long time, for the officials that are faced with an ever-increasing, burgeoning workload, even for the legal profession, which I think most of the courts are now swamped. So there's no doubt in my mind that the immigration system right now is broken.
The Home Office says it has a new plan for immigration that will be fair but firm. It's working on simplifying the rules and reviewing the application process for settlement. It recognises there may be individuals here from a young age who, through no fault of their own, have not formalised their status, and is working with those affected. Maharaj and his family are now on the 10-year route. In another year, he should be eligible for a student loan and cheaper university fees.
I just want to get to my goal and, you know, achieve my dream. And I understand that being a citizen is a privilege. The people in my situation, they should be granted that privilege from a young age.
So detailed.
Tajli and her mum have had good news. The Home Office has agreed to drop this year's visa fees because of their money problems. But her sister Nastasia will still have to pay almost £2,600.
Even applying for my next application doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to get it, and that's really frightening.
Meanwhile, Ajoma has another 4 years to go on the 10-year route, and longer still before she can officially say she's British. And what will it mean to you to get British citizenship?
Oh my God, I think in terms of just putting it in one word, freedom. Freedom from the fees, freedom from this way of life of just constantly saving. So yeah, freedom.